She froze when she heard the faint cry. It wasn't the wind. It was coming from beneath the roses. Maya dropped her watering can and fell to her knees, digging through the dirt with trembling hands. The soil was soft, too soft. Then she saw it, a tiny hand, pale, motionless, reaching for help. Her heart nearly stopped. "Dear God, Ethan," she gasped. The 6-year-old boy she tucked into bed just last night was lying beneath the garden soil, his lips blue, his body barely breathing. Tears blurred her vision as she screamed for help. But inside the mansion, no one answered. No one ever did. And as she lifted the boy in her arms, covered in mud and fear, Maya didn't know. Someone inside that mansion was watching her from the window, smiling. Because this was never an accident. It was a warning. And that's where her story truly began. Before we dive deeper, if you are listening to this, I want to prove my mom wrong. She said I can't hit 1,000 subscribers, and my friend said I'm wasting my time. So please subscribe. Well, let's continue. Maya's hands were still shaking hours later. The ambulance lights had faded, but their color still danced behind her eyes. Blue and red, flashing like a curse across the garden where she had found Ethan. She sat on the cold marble steps of the mansion, her uniform stained with mud and fear. The police had asked her the same question 5 times. "Where were you before you found the boy?" And every time she gave the same answer, but no one seemed to believe her. Inside the house, silence spread like perfume, the kind that chokes you slowly. Vanessa Witmore, Ethan's stepmother, stood by the window, her silk robe flowing like smoke. She pretended to tremble, to cry, to play the role of a grieving woman. But her they didn't match her tears. When Richard Witmore, Ethan's father and one of the richest men in the city, finally arrived, Vanessa ran into his arms with rehearsed panic. "Richard, it's horrible. The maid, she was outside with Ethan. And now look what's happened." Her words cut through the air, sharp and deliberate. Maya stood speechless, watching from the doorway as the man she respected, the one who always thanked her for her kindness to his children, looked at her with confusion and disbelief. "Maya," Richard said quietly, "you found him?" "Yes, sir, in the garden. He was buried, alive. But I don't know how it happened. I swear I don't." Vanessa turned quickly, her voice trembling. "Then how did you know where to dig?" The question struck like a slap. Maya blinked, unsure whether to cry or scream. She could still feel Ethan's small heartbeat against her chest when she pulled him from the dirt. Faint but fighting, she had no answer except truth. "I heard him cry," she whispered. "God led me there." Vanessa gave a soft, mocking smile. "Of course. God. How convenient." Detective Ramirez entered minutes later. Calm, precise, his notebook in one hand. He questioned everyone, but it was clear his attention lingered on Maya. A maid with no family, no wealth, no defense. Easy to suspect, easy to blame. Later that night, as paramedics confirmed Ethan would survive, Maya sat alone in the servant quarters. She could still hear Vanessa's voice echoing from the hallway, gentle when speaking to Richard, venomous when glancing her way. "She's unstable," Vanessa whispered. "I've noticed her talking to herself and to the children's photographs. I think she's obsessed with this family." Maya pressed her palms to her face. "Why would she lie like that?" she whispered into the darkness. But deep down she already knew, because the devil never lies without purpose. The next morning, reporters gathered outside the Witmore mansion, turning tragedy into headlines. "Maid saves billionaire's son or nearly kills him." Richard tried to avoid the cameras, but the damage was done. Vanessa played the perfect wife, clutching Ethan's blanket and crying on cue. "We just want justice," she told them. "I trusted her with my children." Maya watched the scene from the servants' corridor, tears burning in her eyes. Sophie, Ethan's 8-year-old sister, slipped beside her, clutching her teddy bear. "Miss Maya," she whispered, "Vanessa told Daddy that you hate Ethan, that you said he was bad luck." "What? I never said that!" Maya bent down, her heart breaking. "Why would she—" Sophie looked around, frightened. "She told me not to tell anyone. But she also said Mommy's ghost is angry because of you." Maya froze. Mommy's ghost? Richard's first wife, the children's mother, had died in a mysterious fire 2 years ago. The police had called it an accident, but now hearing that Vanessa used her death to control the children sent chills crawling up Maya's spine. That evening, Detective Ramirez returned with new questions. He studied the rose garden, the overturned soil, the faint traces of shoe prints. "Something's off," he murmured. "No sign of forced entry. No sign of a struggle." Vanessa appeared suddenly, perfume thick in the air. "Detective, perhaps Maya can explain why Ethan's favorite toy was found near her quarters?" Maya's eyes widened. "What? That's impossible. He must have—" But Vanessa was already smiling, pretending to hide a smirk behind a tissue. Ramirez turned to Maya. "We'll need you to stay in town. Don't leave." Maya nodded, but her heart sank. For the first time, she realized the truth. Whoever buried Ethan wanted her blamed for it, and they were good at this. Too good. Later that night, she went to the rose garden again. The moon hung low, silver against the dark. She knelt beside the spot where she had dug Ethan up. Her hands brushed something hard, a small silver hairpin, expensive, engraved with the initials EC. Her breath caught. Vanessa's maiden name wasn't Cortez, was it? She looked back at the mansion, one window still glowing. Vanessa's silhouette stood there, unmoving, watching her, the same way she had that night. Maya's heart pounded. "She's not who she says she is," she whispered to the night. "And I'll prove it." A gust of wind swept through the roses, scattering petals across the ground. It felt almost like a promise, that the truth, no matter how buried, always finds its way to the surface. But for now, Maya was alone, and the mansion, with all its gold and silence, suddenly felt like a graveyard waiting for its next secret. What would you do if the only person who believed you was a child? Let's move on. Maya barely slept that night. Every creak of the mansion, every rustle of the curtains, made her heart leap. Ethan was safe, yes, but Vanessa's shadow lingered like a storm cloud. She wasn't just a stepmother. She was something darker, something calculated. The next morning, Maya resolved to dig deeper. If she didn't uncover the truth, no one would. Not Richard, not the children, not even Detective Ramirez, who, despite his patience, seemed hesitant to look past appearances. She started with the little things: old photographs, faded documents tucked into files no one bothered to open. She noticed patterns. Vanessa, or Elena, as some papers suggested, had appeared in news clippings from other countries. Families, wealthy husbands, tragedy, disappearances. Yet she always emerged untouchable, moving seamlessly into a new life under a new name. Maya's hands trembled as she pieced it together. Elena Cortez, the woman who had married into fortune after fortune, always leaving grief and suspicion behind. And now she had set her sights on the Witmore family. She needed proof, evidence, something concrete she could send to Detective Ramirez without tipping Vanessa off. But gathering it was dangerous. Every day Vanessa watched, smiled, and whispered lies into Richard's ear. Every day the world began to doubt Maya. One afternoon, Sophie approached her, eyes wide. "Miss Maya, I know something," she whispered. "Mommy's ghost told me that Vanessa, she's lying about everything. About Ethan, about me, about Daddy." Maya knelt, cupping Sophie's small face. "I know, sweetie. I promise. I'll keep you safe. We'll find the truth together." Sophie nodded, clutching her teddy bear tightly. "But she watches us. All the time." "Yes," Maya admitted. "She does. And we have to be smart." Vanessa continued her performance, hosting charity galas and dinners, while Maya quietly collected evidence. She found receipts for expensive drugs, notes detailing unusual medications prescribed to Ethan, and even photographs showing Vanessa near the garden the night before Ethan's disappearance. It was all carefully hidden, almost invisible. But Maya's eyes were sharp, her mind relentless. The moment of revelation came late one evening. Maya had tracked Vanessa to a storage room in the mansion's basement. There, hidden under a false floorboard, she found a box of passports, forged documents, and photographs. Proof that Vanessa, or Elena, had built a life of deception across continents. Children left behind, families ruined, fortunes stolen. Maya's stomach churned. The woman who smiled at Richard every morning, the one who told Sophie bedtime stories, was capable of burying a child alive, and she had done it before. Maya sent the evidence anonymously to Detective Ramirez. Her hands shook as she pressed send on the encrypted email, images and files attached. Now it was out of her hands. The detective, she hoped, would act before it was too late. Vanessa seemed to sense the shift immediately. Her smile, once composed, flickered. She began acting quicker, moving through the house with sharper eyes. Meals were tense. Conversations were laced with subtle threats. Richard noticed, vaguely, but dismissed it as stress from the public scrutiny. One night, Vanessa approached Maya in the kitchen, feigning casual concern. "You're tired, aren't you? You've been working so hard for my family. Perhaps you should rest." Maya froze, feeling the poison in her words. "Thank you," she said softly, keeping her voice steady. "I will." Vanessa's eyes lingered. For a moment it looked like a warning. Then she turned, leaving Maya to wonder whether she was lucky to be alive or already trapped. Meanwhile, Ethan's recovery continued. The boy smiled again, but there were moments when he looked toward Vanessa and flinched. Maya stayed close, reading his tiny signals, shielding him from the subtle manipulations of the woman he called stepmother. One evening, as Maya tucked Ethan into bed, he whispered, "Miss Maya, why did she bury me?" Maya swallowed hard, hugging him. "Some people, they're scared of losing what they want, and sometimes they do terrible things to try to control everything. But you're safe now, I promise." He nestled into her embrace, and for a brief moment, the weight of the mansion lifted. Detective Ramirez finally contacted her. "Maya, I've reviewed the evidence. Elena Cortez, Vanessa Witmore. She's wanted in multiple countries for fraud and endangering children. I believe you." Maya felt relief, but it was mixed with dread. Vanessa had one final move left, and it was already in motion. The next day, Vanessa cornered Richard privately. Her voice was silk, her tone deadly. "I think Maya is unstable," she said, each word calculated. "She wants your children. She might try something drastic." Richard's brow furrowed. For the first time, doubt crept in. Maya's heart sank. She realized the final confrontation would not just be legal. It would be a battle for trust, for life, for truth. Maya spent the night planning. She reviewed the files again, memorized the photos, and prayed for courage. She knew the moment to act was near, that the mansion, the children, and even her own future depended on what she did next. In the moonlight, she whispered to herself, "I won't let her win. Not this time." And somewhere, unseen, Vanessa watched from the shadows, unaware that her carefully built facade was about to crumble. What would you do if you discovered the person you trusted most had been lying to you your entire life? Well, let's continue. The mansion remained quiet, but the tension was electric, a storm about to break, and Maya, armed only with courage, faith, and truth, prepared to face it head-on. The hospital was quiet that night, a stark contrast to the chaos that had gripped the Witmore mansion for weeks. Maya stood outside Ethan's room, her hands trembling but determined. She had warned Richard, sent the evidence to Detective Ramirez, and now it all came down to this: stopping Vanessa before she could hurt Ethan again. Vanessa entered silently, her heels clicking against the polished floor like a countdown. She carried a small syringe, its contents hidden behind the glitter of a false smile. "Just a precaution," she whispered, pretending calm. "He needs rest." Maya's heart leapt. "Vanessa, stop! Don't do this!" Vanessa laughed softly, a sound that sent chills down Maya's spine. "You think you can stop me? I've done this before and no one believed them. But this time, oh, this time I won't fail." Richard and Sophie appeared at the doorway, tension coiling in the air. Sophie clutched Ethan's blanket, her tiny hands shaking. "Miss Maya, she's trying to hurt him again." Maya stepped forward, placing herself between Vanessa and Ethan's bed. "You're done, Vanessa. It's over. We know who you really are. Elena Cortez. Your lies, your crimes, they end here." Vanessa froze for a split second. That moment was all Maya needed. She lunged forward, carefully catching Vanessa's wrist before the syringe could reach Ethan. The metal hissed against her fingers, but she didn't let go. "You don't understand," Vanessa spat, her voice trembling with fury. "They'll never believe you. I'll always win." Detective Ramirez appeared, swift and commanding, catching Vanessa's other arm. "Step away now." Vanessa struggled, eyes darting around, desperate. Her mask of perfection cracked, revealing a woman terrified of exposure. "You don't know what I've done. You can't prove anything." Maya held the syringe steady. "I already have. Your files, your passports, your lies. It's all been sent to the authorities. It's over, Vanessa." Ethan, still groggy from medication, opened his eyes. For a moment, confusion clouded his face. Then recognition lit his gaze. "Vanessa, You, you buried me. The words hit the room like lightning. Richard's hand went to his mouth, shock washing over him. Sophie buried her face in Maya's shoulder, relief and fear mingling in quiet sobs. Vanessa's face paled, a mask of rage replaced by sheer terror. No, that's not possible. He's lying. Ethan, despite his weak frame, nodded. You did it. You buried me alive. It was undeniable. The confession came not from words, but from the truth shining in a child's eyes. The evidence Maya had gathered, combined with Ethan's statement, left Vanessa with nowhere to hide. Detective Ramirez swiftly cuffed her, reading her rights as she screamed in defiance. But even her fury couldn't mask the collapse of her carefully constructed life. Elena Cortez, the woman who had manipulated, deceived, and endangered families across continents, was finally unmasked. Richard sank into a chair, holding Ethan and Sophie close. Tears streamed down his face. I can't believe it. I'm so sorry. I should have seen it sooner. Maya knelt beside him, brushing a strand of hair from Ethan's forehead. It's not your fault, sir. She was skilled at hiding who she really was. But now, she can't hurt you or the children anymore. Sophie peeked up at her. Miss Maya, you saved us. You really did. Maya's chest tightened. We saved each other, she whispered, ruffling the girl's hair. And now, we start healing. Vanessa was led away, her screams fading down the corridor. Outside, police cars waited, lights flashing, signaling the end of her reign of terror. Maya felt a mixture of exhaustion and relief. The mansion, once a place of fear and suspicion, began to feel like a home again. Over the next days, the family rebuilt their lives slowly. Richard ensured the children received therapy and support, but he never forgot the woman who had risked everything for them. Maya's position shifted naturally. No longer just a maid, she became the children's protector, their family anchor. Yet despite offers of wealth and comfort, Maya remained humble. I don't need a fancy title or a mansion, she told Richard quietly one evening. I just want to stay with Ethan and Sophie. They've become my family. Richard nodded, understanding in his eyes. Then that's exactly what you'll have. The media continued to cover Vanessa's arrest and her past crimes, but the headlines didn't touch the true story. The courage of a young maid who had faced the unimaginable and saved not just a life, but an entire family from destruction. One night, as Maya tucked Ethan and Sophie into bed, she whispered a prayer of gratitude. The trauma, the fear, the nights of uncertainty, all had led to this moment. And while scars remained, there was also hope, healing, and love. What would you do if standing up for the truth meant facing the darkest parts of someone you trusted? Maya closed the door, watching the children sleep peacefully. She knew life would always hold challenges, but she also knew the power of courage, faith, and love. And tonight, she let herself breathe, finally believing in safety, family, and the miracles that can arise from sacrifice. The mansion was quiet again, but this time, it felt alive. A home, not a prison. Maya had proven that even the smallest voice can roar, that even one person's courage can shine through the darkest night. And for Ethan and Sophie, the nightmare had ended. And for Maya, a new story had truly begun. In the quiet that followed, Maya reflected on everything they had endured. Fear, betrayal, and darkness had tested them all, but courage, love, and truth had triumphed. The children smiled again, and Richard embraced the family he almost lost, grateful for the maid who became their hero. Life was not perfect, but hope had returned, stronger than ever. Sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest strength, and one act of bravery can change countless lives. If this story touched you, like this video, subscribe to King's Folklore, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters.